Oh, welcome. Saturday afternoon, and there's things going on all the time, and I spend a lot of time reading the legal opinions and the actual legal filings and documents and looking back at past things, plus all different kinds of things. So, I haven't shown or used the deck of characters. I've only had this 2 or 3, maybe 3 weeks, 2, 3 weeks. Anyway, they're very fun. And they're actually on a website called Deck of Characters. And there's characters, basically the back of the card. So a group of cards, characters. Then there's a group of cards that are labeled on the backside, tools, and then another group of cards for places. So I was asking, instead of specifically looking at the case, I wanted to re-look at John Roberts. I looked at him when I first loaded a video a year plus ago, more than a year ago. I loaded 2 videos and then I didn't continue with the channel. Part of it is I think I think I needed to load them for reference to as a reading to what happens for over the next year. But we really didn't have the legal issues coming in, and because of my background as a lawyer, so one foot in the legal world or legal past training and the other in the shaman world, I like this time in terms of doing readings, and a lot's happening. So here we go. And it's hard when there's political things going on and there's readings, but it almost feels like even in the news, everything's spinning. Well, when is it going to happen? You get a little tidbit and nothing happens. Things are happening, so it's good. So when we look at these, I'll get my little pointer, cards. The knight represents John Roberts. But he has this knighthood on, so when I look at this, it's almost like he's caged in or blocked with his own worldview. So even if he believes he's doing the right thing, he has such a very narrow patriarchal view of right. And because he is Chief Justice, it all comes back to him. And I don't think he's so hard-nosed on this that he doesn't care what people think of his court. I do think he cares but he still tries to do the right thing with his limited view framework. So the Supreme Court has only 3 justices out of 9 that were nominated by a Democratic president. And ideology in this last 2 years of the court has really come to play, and the number of agreements, the work that they're actually doing or producing is very low. The way that they're doing it is not really they intervene when they want and let lower court decisions stand because they have the majority. So if in terms of their ideology, if something fits their ideology, they'll let it stand and instead of letting it go fully to its merits and then come to the Supreme Court, they'll let a lower court, judgment that blocks something or does something, and they'll let it stand before it goes to the merits. But they won't actually go through the process of writing the law on it, because some of the things that have happened really would be hard to write a justification for. So in this war, he's dealing with, these are very strong feelings between the justices, I can imagine, and reflecting the cultural divide at the country, and also some of the methods used by his justices to basically do things they really haven't done in the past and act in a way that is ideological. So to some degree, he tries to lasso this in and to control it. I don't know how effective that is. And I think he still sees this crystal, this thing of shining, you know, like the idea of the U.S. as the shiny city on the hill. I think he thinks of the Supreme Court as this supreme, but then I drew this card that goes over it, and this was the perfect card. There's a fish and there's a ship with a cross and it's sinking. Although there's some discussion of when the Piscean age comes to an end, this ideology, their way, what was the singularity of opinion, where opinion was dominant, it's a sinking ship. I think this represents Roberts, like the ship isn't sinking, and their way of looking at things, their ideology, it not only for our society in America that's evolved, I think energetically the way that we are moving through, if you're going to say the stars or our destiny, whatever you want to say, this ship is sinking. So the fish is still swimming up here like, okay, we're okay, this is okay, but it's not going to hold. So we're passing through this time, but this so-called cultural war, it's not going to hold. It's basically a time of the past, and the ship is sinking, and they don't quite understand that it's sinking and it can't be revived. So in this sinking ship analogy, what I pulled for his court, or basically his key right-wingers on the court, that they come across as drunken sailors spitting vomit. And that is a very good description for what happened in the Kasmeric court in Texas. It was ideological. It was a bunch of mushy, gooey stuff. It really didn't meet, to put it simply without going into the legal arguments and standing, the basic law school exam. Here's the law, and then you have a checklist. Do you have facts that match this? And if you don't think this laws or series of rules apply, then you say, oh, this, because of this situation, that doesn't apply. This mush that Kasmeric put together doesn't meet the basically, like it wouldn't pass a first year law school exam. You couldn't pass the bar with it. It doesn't meet even the basic, it's a bunch of mushed together stuff that just looks like you're this. And then it went to the Fifth Circuit with this Hippocratic alliance. They don't have standing. A doctor saying, well, I could be inconvenienced because potentially some woman who took the misoprostol showed up in the emergency room, and I could be None of it shows standing. And the Fifth Circuit came through and really did a big, on the same facts, put together some mush, came out with the outcome that they didn't want to take away the drug completely, but they wanted to go back to where it was in 2016 through a bunch of mush. And without going into why it's such a mush, this is basically where we are with the current. Now, I don't know with this court. And on a good day, this court, it would be an easy thing. It would be similar to what happened in Florida with the Eileen Cannon and the Trump case. When it went to the three-judge appeals court, I'll do the legal term, in any nice way. They went like, this isn't legal, this isn't whatever, like kind of slapped her down. And the circuit for Texas that Alito oversees should have done the same thing. So Alito delaying this for 7 days doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. It also keeps this insecure, doctors aren't sure, it creates this whole insecurity in the market of what can be mailed and all the rest. So the fact that he even gave it 7 days is a really bad sign, and because it should have just been dropped. So let's take a look at, and just look at Roberts. I would say generally Roberts still wants his court to shine and probably doesn't want this reflected as a court opinion. Or I need to go like this. This or this? What is it going to be? And because Roberts, I'm not sure how much control Roberts has over his court, and because he can be outnumbered. And so let's take a look at Roberts. All right, let's look at Justice Roberts. Gotta adjust my thing here. Justice Roberts. We'll start with the Firestone. So the Firestone is right here in Mineral. And in other readings, this is the ancestors are communicating with you. This can be the passion, excitement, the intention, intuition. But there's a shell down here, and here's the heart. And the heart of it is to come to an agreement. And this little piece of wood can indicate like stands in for a piece of paper or a decision. So so if the Firestone is here and the shell is down, maybe we have to keep looking at this. This is an indication that the passion about this issue would be cooled. There's a deep water cooling down in order to handle this. We have Roberts right here, not quite in the center, but there's a bunch of things, in the center here. Oh, this is fun. This is you can't make this stuff up. Oh my God. So here's Santa Claus with the gifts and the sun. This is him dealing with the scrutiny, and trying not to call scrutiny, like block the sun that comes on Santa Claus giving gifts. Your Harlan Crow and what's coming in. And the subspace portal here would be, let's get through this. Let's try to not call attention to ourselves. He's a little bit, there's double coins here. He's face up. There's a right hand here. There's microphones here. The right hand is very focused on him to ask for a message about this situation here. The blue water is over here, and the blue water is next to an owl, and it's in the deep water. So it's coming into view, something that we haven't seen. And the owl there's a wisdom or it's like it's not disputed. It's, you see it, you know it. this is it. This is not a question of a dispute. I think that could be similar to if this is the issue, for example, of Crow buying Thomas's mother's house, fixing it up, and it doesn't get declared, although the property had been declared at one time. It didn't record a sale, although his signature is clearly there in the documents, public documents. This opens up this portal, and there's 3. And this is, the snake stone is very much of a scrutiny, an eye, and also very much of a nature element. And it puts the court, if you see this as the court, it puts it very much on its side. And you have a hummingbird here, and it's touching his. So it's coming up with how to respond or measure, and something to have to do with 3. So I'm not sure what the 3, whether there's 3 instances. So there's there's 2 we know of Thomas, but there's one with his wife about funding January 6th. So there's 3 distinct instances that cause problems. There also is the problem with, if it's on its side, was there some participation in insurrection, although it doesn't say that here. I would have to keep looking at. So the court's a little bit on its side. There's a lot of scrutiny. There really isn't like cover for this. There was some, this is like I said in the Clarence Thomas video, you just dug the hole bigger because no one can tell you the hole wasn't big. And so you take personal hospitality. I went to a friend's house. I don't need to declare it into a trip on a, et cetera, et cetera. So the mineral stone is here. And the mineral stone is flow of gift. So this is a tree. A tree represents like something planted in the ground, like your history, I get precedent. The tree that you've planted, the tree that you've grown in the way that you do law, and it's rocked. I mean, one way to rock this would be simply the law on standing for a plaintiff to file and get into a federal court is very clear, very well established, black letter law. And if you accept a case in any way or even let that in, you've turned your court into on its side. So here's the angel, and on top of it is peace. It's wanting to find a place of peace. Now, I'm not sure if this is the Department of Justice or the concept of Lady Liberty. It's almost like wishing for a magic solution. Like you could just tap your wand and make this go away. So it could be that there's some magical thinking that we're the Supreme Court, we want peace, that it will just pass, this magic wand will make this all go away because we're with the Supreme Court. I think that could be magical thinking, especially when you have the genie ring here that opens up to a lot more focus and a lot more knowledge of what has happened. So let's look for the where's the Earthstone. I've never seen the Earthstone do this. The Earthstone is literally like a triangle. And triangle can mean like a mountain. It literally shapes a triangle sitting up like this. Oh God, that's not good. Okay, so literally like a triangle. And it's next to the jade ring with 2 shells in it. Another shell here. The Orc stone here. The nature stone is here. The Wedame is here. What's that? The elephant ring is here, which can mean Republicans, and the triangle is here, another triangle. And that can mean like a mountain or male, basically, power. And the lion is here, could mean male power and patriarchy. There's going to be as it stands, I would say the current agreement for the majority, or the current agreement, is to follow the patriarchy and but the flag is down and the lion is down. I think there's some feeling like they need to roar and they need to do this and come to an agreement, but the shell in it is still down. And there's also the triangle here, which is your patriarchy. There's a great deal of underpinning and pressure to come to an agreement that fits in with this view of the world, and the view of abortion being murder, and any way that you can stop it, even if you have to let a bunch of mushy goo stand as some type of legal document. I can't tell what they will do. But the other problem is you have this Viking helmet, which we're going to be back in the Viking day, on top of the Texas boot, which is the boot for Texas. Basically, these Vikings, and there's a hand on top of the mermaid, which is basically reaching into the womb, so to speak, and controlling it like Viking days. And almost that energy of not to insult Vikings from the past, but almost this energy of we rule, we're going to have our way, this is what we want, like a bloodlust, is that it? We're in control, don't question our authority. And then you have this cube on its side, which has rain and a mushroom. You've got the gold over here and a llama to be of service in the wisdom. And I think there's going to be a lot of outside pressure for funding or groups of funding. An interesting issue on this is that I would say pharmaceutical companies typically fund Republicans and think that they help them. In this case, the pharmaceutical company, and they have really good lawyers. Their filing is top, better than the DOJ's filing on this. I don't know yet what they're going to do. There's going to be also this energy here. I don't think it's going to be about the issue of abortion. I think that there's going to be, with the so-called groups that have funded these justices and the circles with the justices and who the justices are buddies with, my take is that they're beyond the ideology, because you don't get a lot of support around the ideology. There is the idea of maybe the mushroom means like the pharmaceutical company, and this will rain on their parade, and this is the power of corporations. This is also like a power block. That what may end up getting done is that because of what's happening with Thomas and the focus on them and the issue of the drug companies, they might actually do the right thing. But it's not necessarily something they want to, and if it didn't affect the drug company, if another case came through and they could do similar according to their views, they would probably do it. And I think that there's some magical thinking of we're the Supreme Court, so we can still do what we want. And get over yourselves. But I don't think they want to affect the funding and the groups that this is a group, consortium group, talking. There's going to be a lot of pressure and talk of not on the from the drug companies or others that don't want this to happen. So we'll see. This is, but it should never, never, never have gotten through the appeals court. And it should never have even been stayed for 7 days. It should have been automatically dismissed as, where's the card? It should have automatically be dismissed because this is what that was. Legally, in any definitional terms, that's what it was. Have a good day. I have another one coming soon.